Hey team, Russell Peden here. I just want to record a quick video. I had a friend of mine say, Mr. Peden, you should record a video about every question that you get from people in the business. And one of the ones that popped up today, actually one of our top rising stars, who's been really building her business on what we call private business receptions, or what we call PBRs. And it really made me think, this is a question that people have, Mr. Peden, which is better? Which is the best way to build your business? Now, in our industry, specifically in our company, Legal Shield, there are basically three ways you can build your business. One is through what we call business briefings, or weekly meetings, as people call them in the industry. We prefer to call them business briefings. We think that's a much better term. Private business reception, or an in-home presentation, at a home party, or whatever your company or industry calls it. In our company, we call them private business receptions, or in-home meetings, and which is as they're referred to, and then or sit-down presentations. Now, demos, whatever we call it, a sit-down, meaning that it's face-to-face. You sitting down with the prospect. Hopefully, you've got someone there with you, your sponsor, your upline leader, someone who is a little bit more versed and experienced in the business, and we call that a two-on-one sit-down, because in my experience, it's easier for two people to bring one person over to their way of thinking than it is to sometimes it's just one person to do it by themselves. But the question is, if you had to choose between those three ways to build a business, PBRs, business briefings, or sit-down presentations, which would you choose? This is a question I get all the time, and here's my answer. All three. I would choose all three of them, because you need all three of them to build a big business. If you're planning to build an army of independent business associates, people out there who are building their own business on which you can benefit from through overrides and structure, then you have to do all three. Now, let me talk to you about, if I had to choose, but the one I would focus primarily on would be private business receptions, just like Dana, because this is the fastest of the three ways to build a business. Now, if you ask me which one is the most effective, I would say that sit-down presentations, face-to-face, sit down over a cup of coffee or at a kitchen table or something like that, that would be the most effective presentation. Here's why. The reason why I say it's the most effective presentation, you might be wondering, is not because it's personal and all that stuff. All that is true. It's because it has the highest show-up rate. In our industry, if you invite people to the weekly business briefing, let's say the meeting in the hotel, you're going to get maybe 1 out of 10 of your invited guests who said they're going to attend to actually attend. If you invite people to a sit-down presentation over a cup of coffee, about 8 or 9 out of those people who confirm they're going to come will actually show up. And if you invite people to a PBR, maybe about 40 or 50%, about half, less than half the people that who you invite who say they're going to attend are going to attend. You say, Mr. Peden, well, you said 9 out of 10 people show up to a sit-down presentation. That's what makes it most effective, but it doesn't scale very quickly, because most people, if you sit down with them and do a sit-down, they can't turn around and do a sit-down with the very next person they come in contact with. But if you schedule a private business reception, in-home presentation, where you invite 8 or 10 people over to your house, maybe you got something to drink, some water, some cookies, some chips, or something like that, and then you invite your sponsor, upline leader, to come over and help you with the presentation by showing the video and answering any questions they may have, a person who joins at that PBR, who becomes an associate in the business, they could turn around and do that very thing at their house the very next day if they wanted to. It's that duplicatable. A sit down isn't duplicatable. Obviously, putting on a weekly business presentation with a hotel and meetings and music and all that stuff, that's not a very duplicatable thing to do. The person who joins at the Thursday night business briefing couldn't turn around and do a business briefing the next day or even the next week, because that takes time and energy and experience to put together. But you can certainly leverage one that's already in place by inviting people, as many people as you can, and confirming them and getting them to attend the business briefing. And that way they can see. Now that the business briefing has its place, because you're never going to get the bigness of the business, or the people that you bring onto your team will never get the big picture of the business if you never get them out to a big event like the weekly meeting, or even a Super Saturday training and recruiting event. You've got to, you can grow fast with PBRs, but you've got to plug them into the Super Saturday, which is another thing, by the way, that Dana Bassett on our team does great at. She grows her team hugely, the PBRs, because it's so duplicatable, but then she gets everyone out to the big event on Tuesday night, the weekly meeting, and especially out to the Super Saturdays. She had probably the most people on her team at our most recent event, just to give an example. Because you can do that because you can grow a big team with the PBRs, and then all you got to do is just promote the big event and get them all out there where they can see the big picture, get trained, get recognized, and that's how you begin to really grow and build a massive organization. So anyway, hopefully that was helpful, guys. If I had to choose between PBRs, sit-downs, weekly business briefings, I would choose all of them, but I would focus on PBRs because it's the fastest way to grow your business. And then I would start doing sit-down presentations because it's the most effective presentation that we have, because more people show up to a sit-down than any other any live presentation that we have. And then I would drive everyone from my PBRs and from my sit-down presentations to the weekly business briefing and encourage them to invite people as well. That way they and their prospects can get the bigger picture of what we're all about. So hopefully that answers the questions about, PBRs, business briefings, sit-down presentations, because we need all three of them if you want to build a huge business. But what do I know? I'm just a college student with a 0.0 GPA who started 26 and a half years ago today that has a team of over 95,000 associates that have sold over 477,000 legal plans in the last 26 and a half years. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.